Who's to blame for the Detroit Lions' passing woes? Is it Jared Goff or the wide receivers? What's up, Sports Talk Detroit? We are all, I think safely, I can say it, frustrated with the Detroit Lions offense this year, especially the passing game. We know the offensive line is decimated, the running game has held its own, but the passing game to the outside, I mean to the wide receivers, has been almost non-existent. Running backs, great. Tight ends, not bad, not as good as we had hoped. But here's the big question. Who's to blame? Is it Jared Goff or is it the wide receivers? And I can make the argument that it's pretty firmly in both camps on who to blame. There's this stat in the NFL and something that is extremely important, and that is yards of separation. In other words, how many yards of separation is a wide receiver on average creating for or from the defensive back for their quarterback? Are they creating throwing lanes? Are they creating space so that the quarterback has more margin for error? And that is something that the wide receivers for the Detroit Lions simply are not doing. And when you couple that with the fact that we've had injuries to Williams and Cephas just as he was really starting to play well, we have a bunch of very small wide receivers out there. Who's Goff going to throw it up to for that 50-50 ball? Kenny Galladay's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Calvin Johnson has left the building and doesn't want to come back. I might add, he is not happy with the Lions organization. But who's going to get that 50-50 ball? Are you going to throw it up to Amon-Ra St. Brown? I mean, maybe in college, right? That's not what he's good at. And we don't have any players that are right now. So I think the wide receivers, you have to understand, and they can be just as much to blame as Jared Goff. In fact, sometimes I see Jared Goff miss passes down the sidelines. You know those ones that I'm talking about where he throws an awful duck and it's like 10 yards out of bounds? Sometimes I wonder if he actually missed that on purpose because he doesn't trust his receiver enough to make a play on the ball, and he's worried that it's going to be intercepted by the defensive back. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't even know if I fully believe what I'm saying because as it comes out of my mouth, it just sounds silly. But they are not creating separation for him. I think about the one deep pass that he completed in the game, and he had to throw a perfect ball, and there had to be a diving catch just to get a pass that was down the field. Otherwise, everything was going to DeAndre Swift. So the running backs, or not the running backs, the wide receivers are struggling with that. But then we have the Jared Goff miscues. The wide open receivers, the wide open running back in the flat, or the crossing route over the middle that he completely misses and throws to someone in double coverage. We had the pass to DeAndre Swift, and you can make the argument that it was Swifty's fault too, that Jared Goff, he just missed him. And if he hits Swift, he walks into the end zone against the Rams, which really frustrated me because he's on my fantasy team too, not Goff. My fantasy team isn't that bad. DeAndre Swift is. He's been a baller for me this year. All right? Swift was a good pickup. All right, now I got to get back to the video. And then the Ducks. Oh my goodness. Sometimes when Jared Goff throws the ball, you're like, what just happened? It's like watching me and my dad when I was younger play catch in the backyard, or my 9-year-old daughter throwing the football to me. Goff's got a little more pep on it. But still, and somehow they're still somewhat accurate, which is just amazing to me. But I think when we were watching the Rams game, we all missed the arm talent of Matthew Stafford and what he has the ability to do. But here's the other thing that Stafford had. Wide open wide receivers. They were wide open, and our defensive backs played well for the most part, but the wide receivers for the Rams created separation. And even though the Lions did everything that they could to stay in the game, 2 fake punts, an onside kick, you knew, even with the lead in the beginning, you knew that they just had to hold on and try and generate offense. And as hard as they tried, they just couldn't do it. It was still field goal after field goal after field goal because we don't have those open receivers. And when the field gets tight down there, running the ball is not nearly as effective. So here's what I give. I think both Jared Goff and the wide receivers get almost an incomplete grade, but I'm going to do something weird here. I'm going to put it more on the wide receivers than Jared Goff. Sure, he's not perfect, but we've seen Jared Goff have a decent amount of success when he has good wide receivers. I'm not saying he's great, because he's not. He's probably right now somewhere around 20 to 25 as far as the best quarterback in the NFL. But if he had a better receiving core, I would love to see what he can do. But for now, at least we can be happy knowing our running backs are good. I'm sorry, I just had to give some positive at the end of it. What do you think? Wide receivers or Jared Goff? And no, you are not allowed to say both. You got to pick one. I picked the wide receivers. Leave your comments below.